top down, you cannot transform a business. It will never happen.
Let's say that again. Top down, you cannot transform a business. That's powerful. Okay.
No, you need to find the way to involve people bottom up into the dream.
Yeah.
Into the dream.
It's their dream too. Well, hi, Feliciano.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome. We wanted to talk about the merger that your organization has been through, the experiences that you've had. Can you first tell us about the challenges of a major merger of this nature?
All right. It was 2015. It was a merger of two similar companies. That's why it was called Union of Equals. So there was less challenge in the markets, in the manufacturing, very similar processes, portfolios of products, knowledge accumulated. So maybe the main challenge was the organization culture itself, meaning just something very easy, how things are done, how people feel about it, how leadership is deploying their messages. That kind of thing was a challenge.
Okay. And they were different cultures that were?
Maybe we learned that a bit late, but Lafarge was a Paris-based company.
Okay.
So they had more centralized processes, even organization structures around things like innovation and marketing, while Holcim was Zurich-based, and it was extremely decentralized company. So those two ways of doing business had to live together suddenly.
Yeah, and it's those little subtle differences that can really be big differences in the end, isn't it?
It's in your day-to-day, you need to have something decided, who to ask, what is expected from my performance. So even the understanding of what is excellent or not excellent is not necessarily the same.
Got it.
So that was, from my point of view, the main challenge.
So from a HR leader's perspective, what were some of the strategies that you employed to try to bring these two entities together?
In those times, the main urgency was about identifying talent and bring that talent together, because there was an intention to have a lean organization in corporate. So there's a lot of restructuring, but we needed to protect the core knowledge as well.
Right.
And we were losing the core knowledge as well in that process. So that was the main effort, and that took a year and a half, 2 years, trying up and down, trying to bring together the different frameworks of HR, jobs, even training programs, these kind of things. But it was from 17, 18 that there was a complete change of the management, that we started to put in place really a focused strategy for the new company.
Right. And did those changes get the outcomes that you were needing? Was it bringing the organization together?
Yes. Now we can say it was very successful. We had 2 rounds of business strategy, and that's the KPIs you have. We were achieving them, our dreams, with anticipation of the definition of the strategy. So that was in itself a great message for the people. So we are in the right track. The dream is there. It's not just a brochure. So that created momentum from that year, 2018.
And how did you then really bring the cultures together? How did you solve for those differences that you identified early on?
Many aspects, but if I have to highlight some, there was something about simplicity. We needed to be clear on what is expected from everyone. So quite challenging ambitions ahead, that from the beginning we were even panicking a bit. No, is that really possible? But very clear how we are going to measure that, and do not change them for long enough. So we dedicated a lot of time to align senior managers, middle managers, employees around that new concept of performance culture.
Got it.
That was really the key thing.
How did you do that? How did you align people? Because that, it sounds easy, but I see so many organizations struggling to do that. How did you really align people from that vision down to the work I do aligns?
We had to create different momentums. For instance, for the top 200 executives, we need to create a momentum there, a kind of business school that we put in place, where yearly we were bringing them together. And there were different discussions. There were discussions about leadership, strategy, market. But the main topic was about understanding the strategy, aligning to that. Well, I remember interesting discussions about cash flow. They said, well, everyone knows what cash flow is. No. Everyone understands differently what cash flow is, especially what is expected about cash flow. No? So we dedicated a lot of time there. We started to bring in the same approach, what we call the emerging leaders, so those middle managers. And finally, we put in place a program for young leaders, people around 25 years old, in the company or just arrive in the company, to bring them into the same dynamics at an earlier stage. And that creates momentum. People go out and talk about that. People get involved in innovation topics. And then you see that the whole machinery starts to move ahead.
Lovely. So I heard a couple of things in that. You know, the alignment around words matter and getting the definitions and the clarity and the meaning really tight. We used to joke that, you know, if I say apple, we all might have a different view of apple in our head. Is it a red apple? Is it a green apple sliced on a paper? Or is it a company in Cupertino? Like, you know, what is it? So it sounds like you spent the time to really align language and meaning.
So we tried that the message top down was simple and clear, but you cannot give for granted the understanding of it. What you were saying about the apple, right? So we focus on the understanding. We tried to listen that people were answering the right questions from us.
Listening.
So it's a bit of started to play the bottom up.
Right.
Another topic that was very important, that was the operating model, was again very decentralized model, not centralized. So we started to work on the concept of empowerment on P&L leaders. So we developed a bit more than 500 P&L leaders around the globe, and they were owning pieces of the business themselves. So we needed them, that population, to have the right understanding by own initiatives, and that brings performance. That takes another year and performance is there.
And I'm hearing a lot of leadership development in this story. Like, it sounds like you really doubled down on developing leaders at all levels.
Yes. Around the ownership, leadership as ownership of the business in a certain scope. That was what we were trying to convince people that they were the real owners. It was not just a message, because this industry is playing in very local markets and micro markets. So you cannot run that from a horse in Switzerland.
Right.
Emperor type, they do the business, they bring the outcomes. So that was the kind of leadership we tried to secure.
How did you convince the leaders of the organization to invest in that leadership development? Because that's often a big debate, right? Is it worth the spend? Are we really going to take the time to bring people together offline? And how did that become the way you move forward?
To be honest, we didn't have too many pushbacks around that. But you see that we started with the top 200. We brought them to an exciting experience. We asked them to go back to their countries. In those 200, we have all the CEOs of the countries, regional teams, heads of technical functions. We asked them to go back there and expand that. At the same time, we were creating more leadership development environments to come together. And the message was the same: go back and replicate, go back and replicate. So we're expecting that from them as well.
Yeah, but that first 200 probably was very meaningful in connecting to them and getting them telling the same message and connecting everyone else.
I remember our group CEO used to say, I manage this company through these 200 people. So see the expression. This is not a pyramid. They manage
this
managing the business for us.
They're leading it. Love that. All right, were there other HR or talent processes that you put in place that really supported this? Or other?
We had to, typical. We had to revisit the compensation frameworks
Right.
and to introduce we eliminated what is called normally individual objectives.
Yeah.
We just focus on financial objectives.
Okay. Outcomes.
Few KPIs,
Yeah.
financial, and those were the leadership measurements that we were expecting. Very easy, very simple, already aligned, the
love that
understanding.
too. Yeah.
We moved out of any other more subjective type
Uh-huh.
of measurements that
Okay.
I myself was
Right.
playing with in the past.
Right.
But this way we gain transparency and easiness. If performance is good for you, is good for all,
Right.
we all grow.
Right.
So that's something we introduced. We revisited long-term incentives. We introduced ESG elements into the long-term incentives
Yeah.
for leadership.
So I'm hearing transparency, simplicity, investing in leaders. What else would you tell someone if they're getting ready to go through this process? What other learnings or advice would you have for people?
It's about communication in this
Okay.
time. Is to creating circles of bottom-up communication as capillary as you can.
Okay.
Top-down, you cannot transform a business. Will never happen.
Let's say that again. Top down, you cannot transform a business. That's powerful. Okay.
No, you need to find the way to involve people bottom up
Yeah.
into the dream.
Yeah.
Into the dream.
It's their dream too.
If you're in the situation of a merger, you need to understand that similar companies are very different, always different from each other.
Right.
And you need to understand how people feel, how they resolve things, what are the ways they are accustomed to do, what are the legacy dreams that they have. And understand that and do not delete that.
Right. To honor that legacy.
When we are into acquisitions very, very intensively,
Right.
we do not Holcimize companies that we acquire. So companies are expected to keep rolling as they are and enlarge the values they have. That's why we buy them. And they come part of the family at their own speed.
Got
Of
it.
course, there are some topics about governance, finance, that we accelerate a bit, but the rest is like that.
Start from the bottom, honor their legacy, involve them in the change. Yeah.
Have the initiative to be part of that big family as you bring the outcomes and the success.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
With pleasure. All right. Thank you very much.